The deaths of 2 New South Wales Rural Fire Service volunteers have devastated the tight-knit Horsley Park Brigade in Sydney's west. Deputy Captain Geoffrey Keaton, aged 32, and Andrew O'Dwyer, aged 36, were killed in the line of duty late last night. They are both, as you can see, fathers of young children. They died when their tanker was hit by a falling tree and rolled as they travelled in convoy to fight the bushfire near Buxton, southwest of Sydney. 3 other firefighters were injured. They've been treated in hospital for burns. Yesterday was one of the most intense days of the firefighting season in New South Wales. At least 20 properties were destroyed in heatwave conditions, and flags are flying at half-mast in honour of the 2 men killed. New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian has expressed her condolences to the families, saying the state has lost 2 heroes.
We can't express enough our deepest sympathy and condolences to their loved ones, obviously still in shock as to what's occurred. And these 2 brave young men who lost their lives represent for us the thousands and thousands of volunteers on the ground today and tomorrow and in the days coming who put their own life, their own safety on the line to protect others. And what the incident overnight demonstrates, which Commissioner Fitzsimmons will give further details on, is how fragile situations can be and how unexpected occurrences can cause death in this way.
Let's go live now to Gabriella Power, who is at Buxton. Gabriella, we've seen that this community was devastated yesterday. What are the conditions, I should say, like today?
Tom, I'm here at Buxton and it's still very eerie. We've just seen this fire destroy so many homes in this area. The Greenwattle Creek blaze, it's still burning at an emergency level. It's been burning for about a month. It started from a lightning strike and the size of the fire is massive. It's 170,000 hectares in size. It's being described as erratic and unpredictable. Now, we know that the fire, the intensity of this fire just tore through properties. About 40 structures have been lost, and we know some of those belonged to volunteer firefighters. But of course, the biggest tragedy to come from this fire are the deaths of those 2 hero firefighters. Yesterday, it was at 11:30 last night that their fire truck collided with a tree. It rolled over and 3 other firefighters were taken to hospital. We've heard from the Premier, the Prime Minister, and the RFS says that they will be doing everything to support their families.
Any support that's needed to be provided to those families, we'll do whatever we can to support them. We can't obviously replace what they've lost, but all we can do is try and look after them. And given they both have young children, just make sure that we're looking after the welfare of those children for the future, not just today and tomorrow, but going forward into the future.
One of the biggest concerns to authorities are the families that are still planning to travel ahead of Christmas time. So we are being urged to step up and listen to the advice from our firefighters and be across the traffic conditions. There are many roads that are closed. A state of emergency has been declared. This is the 2nd time this season that it has been issued. Currently, there are more than 100 fires still burning. Many of those are still out of control, and the RFS says that we need to take advantage of these milder conditions today to get the upper hand on these fires, with worse conditions forecast tomorrow.
Our challenge today is to try and get some level of containment on the the eastern side of that fire, just simply so tomorrow when those strong westerlies come up, it doesn't spread further and cross then the Hume Highway. So that's going to be a challenge for us. But look, we've got a lot of challenges. That Gospers Mountain fire is continuing to burn to the east.
Something positive to come out of these fires is the sense of community. We've seen many locals opening up their homes, restaurants and cafes, offering food and coffees to firefighters and doing everything they can, and locals coming together to support one another.
Gab, thank you. We'll keep updated. That's community still, obviously, the fire danger there and already a long rebuilding task ahead. Meanwhile, Charlotte Mortlock has filed this report from Coringa, a key location for today's firefighting efforts at that Greenwattle Creek blaze.
Residents are camped out in this car park on the corner of Bargo River Road and West Parade in Coringa. They're waiting for the road to open so they can get back in and assess their homes.
The house is still standing, so yeah, we're wrapped in that.
The emergency warning came through around lunchtime yesterday, but most residents had been expecting it for days.
We've been packed for about 3 weeks and that.
Most decided to stay with family and friends overnight. Despite being away from the flames, they didn't get much sleep.
We didn't sleep much at all.
If these residents are allowed back in today, it might not be long before they're evacuated again, with more hot and windy weather forecast for tomorrow. The Greenwattle Creek fire has now burnt through around 50% of the Wallandilly Shire.
The Prime Minister has apologised for taking an overseas holiday to Hawaii during the bushfire emergency. Let's go live to political reporter Trudy McIntosh here in Canberra. Trudy, Scott Morrison had been facing political heat for being out of the country.
Yeah, he certainly has, Tom, and it seems pretty clear today that the Prime Minister was aware that it wasn't a good look to be seen holidaying overseas while the fires continue to burn across the east coast, but also this smoke haze continues to blanket cities on the east coast, including right behind me today here in Canberra. The Prime Minister has cut short this holiday that he'd been having with his wife Jenny and his 2 daughters in Hawaii. He will now return to Australia due in tomorrow morning. He says he deeply regrets if anyone was offended by him not being in the country during this last week.
I think on this occasion, John, because there have been such horrendous events that has understandably caused a lot of anxiety, and I deeply regret that, and so does Jenny, and but to all those who are affected by the fires, especially, we deeply regret it, and so I know Australians understand this, and they'll be pleased I'm coming back, I'm sure, but they know that I don't hold a hose, mate, and I don't sit in the control room. That's the brave people who do that are doing that job.
Well, obviously, it's always great to have the Prime Minister on deck, but he's also a human being, and he's shown leadership, whether not just for fires, but floods and droughts. And let me tell you that takes an emotional toll on everybody, and you need to recharge your batteries.
So that's the Emergency Services Minister, David Littleproud, there, coming to the defence of his Prime Minister, who will be back tomorrow, as I say. But they have seen a lot of criticism, the Greens in particular, making a lot of song and dance about this week. There was a protest outside Kirribilli House yesterday, people saying that Scott Morrison needed to return to Australia. And the Labor leader, Anthony Albanese, has been much more careful in his tone on this. No time this week he has demanded the Prime Minister return. He said today, though, when he was asked, he was visiting Bilpin in the New South Wales Blue Mountains. He said it would be better if the Prime Minister was more upfront with these holiday plans.
Well, look, it's a matter for the Prime Minister. He made the decision, and it's a matter for his judgment when he goes on holiday. I think one of the issues has been that the lack of information and transparency around this.
So, Tom, the Prime Minister is expected to fly in to Sydney tomorrow morning. He said on radio this morning that visiting RFS headquarters will be one of his first priorities.
Trudy McIntosh, thank you. Worsening conditions in Queensland mean the state can't send a strike force of firefighters to help in New South Wales. As Anna Rawlings reports, there are about 60 bushfires burning across that state.
The Queensland Fire and Emergency Service says it just doesn't have the capacity to send help south. Queensland might need to seek its own reinforcements as conditions deteriorate. The state is preparing for potentially severe conditions from now until the weekend. Firefighters are currently battling a blaze at Mount Maria near Bundaberg, where at least one property has been lost. Containment lines are also being built on the Sunshine Coast at Peregian Beach, where residents have been evacuated for the 3rd time in 4 months. Firefighters say that fire is testament to just how hot and dry conditions are. A severe fire danger is in place across the Darling Downs, and most of the rest of the state is at high to very high levels.
And 2 emergency warnings have been issued for fires burning in South Australia in what are catastrophic conditions. The latest warning is for a blaze burning at the Northern Expressway in Anglevale. The grass fire is burning in a southwest direction towards Munopara Downs. A second fire is burning at Hollands Creek Road in Cudley Creek. That scrub fire is burning in a southeasterly direction towards Lobethal and Lenswood. Residents in both areas should seek shelter as it is too late to leave. South Australia Power Networks have also cut power to thousands of homes close to reach of the fires. Adelaide is forecast to reach 46 degrees today as it swelters through its 4th day of a heatwave.